All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, getting into some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to be taking a look at Cool Heart Mimya. It's a song by Burden.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be pulling up, we have the YouTube transcript from the music video.
Right.
And just kind of looking it over, I was like, I'm really interested in how Burden, tackles the idea of coolness.
It's
It's like everybody's.
it's kind of a lifelong pursuit, isn't it?
Well, it really is, and especially for a musician, right? You
Yeah.
think of the cool musician,
Yeah.
and it's like, what is that? What does that mean?
Right. And he kind of turns it on its head.
Yeah, he really does.
Right away, he's like, I don't have a fancy car,
Yeah, and all this stuff, he's almost like he's pointing out the things that people think are cool,
Yeah.
and then he's saying, I don't have these things.
Yeah, it's
And
interesting.
it's like, but he's cool. He's making music, he's got a music video.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I don't have, a million followers on Instagram. All this stuff that you think of.
Yeah. The traditional markers.
Right, and I think it's so great. Just right off the bat, he kind of...
He subverts the expectation.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, that's not what it's about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's really refreshing.
it is. And then he says, he's like, I got anxiety barely sleeping at night.
Yeah, it's raw.
I'm just keeping it light.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting to me too is we think of the cool musician and they're larger than life,
Right.
There's untouchable and he's like, no, I'm
I'm a mess.
I'm a person. Yeah.
Just like you.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I've got anxiety. I'm not sleeping.
Right, and the way he describes it too.
Yeah.
It's so real. It's that specific kind of I'm up all night, I can't sleep.
Yeah, there's something on my mind. I can't let it go.
Right, and I think that part of it too is almost there's some pressure. There's something going on that's causing this, right? It's not just general anxiety.
Right.
There's something on his mind.
It feels very specific.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's almost like it's connected to this pressure to be a certain way or to conform to these expectations that he's pushing back against.
Exactly. And then he starts talking about all this growth.
Yes.
He uses the word grow or growing 5 times in this song.
It's a theme. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's busy working on myself, trying to grow into a better man.
Yeah.
Growing out of that phase. What do you think about that when you hear that?
I mean, it makes me think that it seems like he's really trying to evolve.
Yeah.
And he's not just saying I'm not about those things. He's
Yeah.
I'm actively working on myself
Right.
to be better.
Yeah. He's putting the work in.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool to see.
Yeah. And that's really, I think, a big part of what resonates with people, right?
Yeah.
Because we all are trying to...
We're all works in progress.
Yeah, we're all on that journey. And
Right.
so when he's saying that, it's oh, I relate to that.
Yeah. And
We all have those things that we're trying to work on.
And I feel that idea of growing out of that phase makes me wonder, was there a time where he was buying into all this stuff?
Right, exactly.
Was there a time where he was chasing all that and now he's no, I'm over it?
Yeah, he's I see through that now.
Right. And I think that's really interesting. And there's another part of the song that I think kind of connects to this.
Okay.
And it's where he says, I don't want to face the things that I did to people, IHT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that line really hit me hard because it's he's acknowledging, he's trying to grow.
Yeah.
He's trying to be better, but he's also there's some stuff in the past.
Yeah, there's baggage. We
Yeah.
all have it.
He's got to deal with.
And I think that line is so powerful because it shows that it's not a straightforward path.
Yeah.
Right.
Growth isn't always linear. It's not always
It's messy.
easy. Yeah, it's messy. And there's going to be times when you have to confront the things that you're not proud of.
And I think that adds this whole other level to it,
Right.
And it's it makes it so much more real, so much more human.
Yeah. It humanizes him. Right. Because
Yeah.
he's not just this perfect evolved being. He's I'm on this journey.
Yeah.
I've messed up and now I'm trying to...
Yeah, and reconcile with that. Try to fix those things, make those amends. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that everyone can relate to.
Absolutely.
We all have those moments where we're I wish I could take that back.
Yeah.
Or I wish I had handled that differently.
And the fact that he's putting it out there
Yeah.
in a song, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, it's brave and it's honest. And I think it really makes him
Yeah.
more relatable,
Absolutely.
because it's he's not afraid to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of growth too, is being willing to say hey, I messed up
Yeah.
and I'm trying to do better.
Yeah, and I think, going back to this whole idea of coolness,
Yeah.
he says in the song, he's like, I'm cool with not being cool enough now.
That's a powerful statement.
It really is. And it's like he's found this like inner peace with not having to meet these external like societal like standards of cool,
I think it's a really important message, especially for younger people who are
Oh yeah.
so bombarded with images of what they're supposed to be,
Right.
what they're supposed to look like, what they're supposed to own.
And who they should be.
Right. And he's like, you know what? Screw that.
Yeah.
I'm going to define cool for myself.
Yeah. I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool.
I think so too. Yeah.
And I think it's such a great message for everyone, really.
And, it reminds me of, I think like, when you're younger.
It's all about fitting in.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what are the trends?
Yeah, I got to have the right jeans.
Yeah, what's everybody wearing? What's everyone listening to?
I have the right haircut.
Right. And as you get older, I think hopefully you realize that true cool is really just being authentically you.
Absolutely.
It's about, embracing what makes you unique.
Yeah, owning it.
And not being afraid to stand out.
Yeah, and not needing that outside validation.
Exactly.
So much.
Yeah.
Which is hard. It's hard to let go of that.
It is. It's a process. It's a journey.
Right. And I think that, what Burden's doing with this song is it's really powerful.
It's inspiring. Yeah.
I think it's a great reminder for all of us.
Yeah. It's like a little pep talk.
Yeah.
Like be yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay to not fit in. And actually that's what makes you cool.
Yeah. And I think it's great that he's using his platform to spread that message,
Yeah. I mean, music has such power to connect with people.
Yeah.
And to really make them think about things differently.
Right. And challenge those assumptions.
Absolutely. Right.
So as you guys are listening to Cool, think about what does cool mean to you?
What's your definition?
Yeah. Has your definition changed over time?
Yeah, I think that's something that is constantly evolving,
Yeah, what did you think was cool when you were 15,
Right, exactly.
What do you think is cool now?
Yeah, and what are you working on to be a better version of yourself?
Right, and what does that look like to you?
Yeah.
And I think it's a great question to ask yourself.
It's a lifelong process.
Yeah.
It's not a destination.
And I think, Burden is showing us in this song.
Yeah.
That it's an ongoing journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay to not have it all figured out.
Yeah.
And in fact, like not having it figured out is kind of cool.
It's more interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's more real.
Yeah, and I think that's a great message to leave everyone with.
Yeah, I think so too.
And thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Absolutely, always a pleasure.
And keep listening to Burden, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.